Welcome, Spiritual Mag. My name is Sam Bell, and this is the introduction course, the basics, the simplest we're going to get it, of mind control. People call it MK Ultra and a lot of other names or code names, but just think of it as mind control. It's like cruise control. It's like a Tesla car. Okay? So, um, the information that is in your brain came from somewhere. Video, audio, hearing, books, records, whatever. But the information came from somewhere and went into your brain, got there through your eyes and your ears and your smell and your taste and your touch. The stuff that didn't get into your brain, it's not in your brain. Okay? So if you've eaten licorice ice cream, you know what licorice ice cream is like. If you've never seen or heard or tasted licorice ice cream or smelled it, you have no clue. So, countermeasures is counter activity against awareness. Activities to conceal. So, that's where you kind of have to start. Okay? So you have to realize that what you know for a reason because it got there somehow. Additionally, someone put it out there to get into your head. And you don't know what you don't know because it hasn't gotten into your head yet. And possibly you'll never get it into your head because you're not supposed to get it into your head. Okay, it's going to be kept from you. So the first step in learning about countermeasures is no matter what, you don't want the person who's being spied on to think that they're going to get spied on because they become suspicious of everything. So countermeasures means that whatever you do, the person that you're targeting is supposed to be completely oblivious and doesn't do anything to conceal what they're doing. Okay? So if you take, say, the population of, let's say, the United States, and before 9/11, before the Kennedy assassination, before Bobby and JFK and Martin and a lot of other people, before them, the American public was pretty open and innocent. They didn't suspect that they were being spied on. They didn't suspect it. They were, totally, but they didn't suspect it. So it was really pretty easy to spy on people because they didn't know that they were being watched and listened to. And what they were told is, it's illegal. You can't do it. Go to prison. Nobody can do it. It's illegal. You go to prison. Nobody can do it. You've got complete privacy. It's your right. So they didn't emphasize that it actually was occluded that if you thought you were being spied on, well, what are you going to do about it? You're going to call the cops? You're going to go to the Federal Bureau of Investigation. I think I'm being spied on. You think they're going to help you? So if you were actually being spied on and you started getting suspicious, there's nobody out there to help you. Okay. There's nobody out there to help you. Now, if you're a conglomerate, some corporation somewhere, you got tons of bread and lots of secrets, well, you can investing a lot of money to do countermeasures just to protect the shit that you've been involved in and find the people that are checking out on you and getting your secrets and manipulating you. So, for example, MK Ultra. What the fuck is an MK Ultra? If I say, red car driving on the highway, well, you got a clue. If I say a Christmas tree that's dried up laying on the freeway, January 20th, you got a clue. But if I say MK Ultra, that's like, huh? So to start off with, no matter what is done to investigate you, to manage you, they're going to do everything possible with the best technology to find out, to keep you from finding out that you're being investigated and monitored and recorded. Today, in 2026, July 2nd. So, for example, you're looking at the screen and you're looking at an electrical image of some guy you may or may not trust. You definitely probably don't know him. And you may have associated the name Sam Bell and Spiritual Mag with this guy on the screen, but it could be fabrication. Today's AI. You never know. So today, countermeasures is way past where you'll ever be able to conceive. Way past wherever you'll be able to conceive. Way past, way past, way past. No chance. Accept that. Okay. So, I'm going to share information that's basic. So to give you some building blocks for you to start thinking about MK Ultra type stuff, because you're into it up to here. You're completely submerged in it 24/7, electrically, digitally. When you're asleep, everything is pumping on you. So, some general information about this gentleman, Sam Bell. He was born in San Jose, California in 1949. He registered protesting the Vietnam War in 1967 in Moscow, Russia. I had a California state license, speech and language pathology from the Board of Medical Quality Assurance for 42 years till I retired. I'm blessed to be certified hypnotist for 20 years, trained directly by Miss Sylvia Celeste Brown, Browne. She also trained me directly as a cell memory therapist. And I'm a graduate of the Neurotherapy Certification Program, Brain Science International, Biofeedback Certification, International Alliance accredited. I'm no longer, but I was for a few years an instructor with Fargo Countermeasures, Sabre Laboratories with Mr. Leo Jones. If you've seen the Francis Ford Coppola movie, The Conversation, that's based on Leo. Leo's in that film. And I'm what's called a conscious spiritual channel. Okay, so I work as a speech path for decades. Mostly dual diagnosed, cerebral palsy, traumatic injury, stroke, Alzheimer's, autism, behavior stuff. Also trained by the Santa Barbara Autism Dissemination Project. That was a Dr. Lovaas action out of UCLA. Hardcore behavior mod. Baby. It's a federal program, that federal techniques they were going to use with autistic type people, that they could fly them in a plane or put them somewhere and they could see something and remember the whole scene and they wouldn't have to take notes. So it's very covert. So that's CIA does that. So now I'm let me get back here. I'm what's called a conscious channel. Okay. I was trained by Sylvia. Sylvia's was called a full trance channel. So, full trance channel, right out of the book here. Let's see what it says. Is trance channeling. Now, it's like I'm a chef. So, what did you make? I made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I used crunchy peanut butter. Well, the person calls himself a chef. There are a fucking 100 million people out there calling themselves channels. What a bunch of total horse shit. Horse shit. Okay. Sylvia was a full trance channel. That means, I'll read it right here. Trance channeling is a form of mediumship where an individual grants permission for an outside entity, to take control of their body as an instrument for communication. Now, when Sylvia would go into a trance, her heart would stop. And then it would start up with a new person. Okay, that's not these, stage channels and stuff. Completely different. During these sessions, the channel has no knowledge or recollection afterwards of what has transpired. That is so amazing. Sylvia, clueless about what came out of her while she was in the trance. He or she simply goes away and then returns when the body is fatigued or when the session is over, or I'd say overheated till they get hot. This type of channeling is one of the many people seek out, but can be the most dangerous form of channeling to the channel. Okay, you don't know what you're playing with. You risk the danger of allowing a negative entity to take over your body. Okay? Think crack cocaine is bad? Give permission for a negative entity to use your physical vehicle. Okay? Stupid. But there's a lot of people hooked on crack. A lot of people are cokeheads. Lots. Nations have fallen on opium and heroin and dark stuff. A conscious channel, I'm a conscious channel. It's like a lightweight channel. Conscious channeling is where the channel maintains conscious awareness of what is happening, but allows another entity to bring messages through his or her body. At any time, the channel is free to edit material being presented or to end the session when or if they feel uncomfortable with the information that is being offered. Okay. So, Sylvia, when she step out of her body and this other being would come in, being or beings, different beings. And it was a function of a procedure that had to do with willpower, the ability to focus, and unconditional love, and getting permissions, and elevating consciousness. Now, there's something that is common, I'm kind of ridiculing, I should ridicule it because it's an entry level, but is automatic writing, painting, or musicianship. Is the most common form of channeling that most people are familiar with. The channel allows their body, either in trance or consciously, as a vehicle to create artistically through music, artwork, and or writing. So that's the entry level. Most people go to that level. Okay, most people go to that level. If they're blessed, someone from a higher perspective comes when you're ready to function with that. And it's different. It's completely different. It's completely different. It's completely different. So, this trance stuff and this channeling stuff, this is consciousness stuff. And the consciousness stuff is like, it's like it'd be like a fish saying, I'm thirsty. A fish is not going to say they're thirsty. They're swimming in water. But if they were out of the water, they might say, hey, what the hell, I'm thirsty. What's going on? So humans have a component of themselves that allow the brain to act in a different consciousness way if it doesn't violate their free will. Okay? People think there's conscious and higher conscious and subconscious. That's what people think. It's the categories that have been told. Well, consciousness is a continuum that is eternal. Eternal. And you have consciousness. I know you have your consciousness. And I know you have willpower, and I know you have the ability to focus. Well, if I bring you to a hospital and say, I want you to take an x-ray of their consciousness, and I want you to weigh it, and maybe do a little surgery on it. Well, they're not going to find anything physical in your consciousness or your willpower or your ability to focus. They're not going to find a physical thing. Hello? So, when we're talking about mind control, we're talking about consciousness. And we're talking about your consciousness that is indirectly and directly connected to your mind, which specifically originates in your brain between your ears. You got your brain, your mind, the consciousness that's in there, and then there's a consciousness that's outside of you, other people's consciousness, and then groups have consciousness. So this consciousness aspect is an integral component of MK Ultra Mind Control. You can't know about it. Okay? So I'm a conscious channel and trained hypnotist by Sylvia. I'm familiar with third, fourth, fifth dimensional type stuff. And a little bit with sixth dimensional stuff. But there's no words to put in there. There's no words, there's no thought forms that a Earth pilgrim can use to communicate with other people about it. So, hypnosis, here we go here. Hypnosis is a trance-like state of altered consciousness characterized by extreme focus, deep relaxation, and heightened suggestibility. Guided by a trained professional, your attention becomes intensely detached from your immediate environment, making you more open to suggestion that help modify behaviors, reduce pain, or manage anxiety, and a whole bunch of stuff they're not going to tell you about. Okay? They're not going to tell you, baby, this hypnosis stuff. They're not going to tell you what they can do with that because you don't need to know. It might even raise suspicion. Pretty good, huh? So, the thought forms that you presently hold in your mind about hypnosis are the thought forms that have been pumped into your mind about what is hypnosis. The thoughts that are attached to this sounds hypnosis. They've been structured and delivered to you so that that thought form would be structured in your mind. All the stuff they don't want you to know is not mentioned, like MK Ultra. We're not going to tell you about that, fuckers. Now, I'm not going to go over all the stuff that you could read and talk about here on the TV shows and all this other bullshit. Okay, it's entry-level distortions and distractions. Here's the hardcore truth on this hypnosis stuff. You can be hypnotized easily by all kinds of stuff. It doesn't have to be a human being. It could be a tone. It could be something digital. It's probably something digital, actually. And you can have people giving you induction to hypnotic suggestions on every YouTube channel, on every website. Covertly means you don't know. You don't know. I really enjoyed the show. It was great. I watched it 4 times. I started a series, and I know the ending, but I started, now I gotta watch the whole series. I gotta buy that because, can you afford it? No. Do you need it? No, but I gotta buy it, man. I need a big 4-wheeler. Where do you live? LA? This is no mud, no. No. So, as it applies to you today in 2026, okay, there's examples of hypnosis that go back as far as recorded history, okay? But for you today, 2026, July 2nd, here's where you're being mind controlled, okay? Now, please listen. You remember in the old days, you'd have a TV antenna on the top of the roof? And then you get the local channels. Remember that? And then you get stuff, let's say you're in California, you get stuff from New York, but it goes to different stations and it arrives here and, you know. Now, if there was an emergency, and see, there was a big earthquake and the wires were broken down and stuff, you could, if you could get electricity with your TV, you could still get broadcast things like, you know, shortwave radio, and you can still get broadcast. You don't need a hard wire. Well, Barry Obama, yes, Barry, you know, Barry Obama, that guy. One of the first things he did, he mandated digital. So your TV wasn't digital, but you watched it all the time. Everything was fine. And it was free to watch shows. And he mandated digital, which is not free. And you gotta pay. So the difference between analog and digital is this information that comes through the screen in digital, you can really tweak it big time. Whereas the old show, you couldn't do that. You could adjust the color and stuff, but you couldn't adjust the frequency of the induction of the hypnotic suggestion, like with the TV. So, when you sit down and watch Cheers, are you watching an episode that you've seen before? Yeah. When you sit down and watch Seinfeld, are you watching an episode you've watched before? Yeah. Well, why are you turning that back on to watch something repeatedly? Why are you going into a room, positioning yourself and look at a box and turn it on with this digital stuff coming at you? and you're watching something you don't really need to know. There's a lot of stuff you need to do other than sit on the couch. Okay? But kind of drawn to it. You're hooked. Now, in today's world, the induction process is pretty straightforward if you know what's happening. If you don't know what's happening, you're completely clueless. You just find yourself doing stuff because you're doing it and it's repetitive, but you're not quite sure why you're doing it because it's not necessarily fun. You can't afford it. You can't stop. There may be some mind control aspects so that someone could earn some money. 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 Whose money? Your money. Okay? Like, 90 million people on the planet right now have gotten 2 of the vaccine therapy shots. So that's about 90 million who have a high chance of something they didn't want occurring. How is it you got all those people to go do that? Because did somebody show up at the door? Did somebody show up at your door and pound the door? You got to go get a shot or you can't poop or whatever the hell. No, nobody did any of that. It was all digital through the tube. All digital. All digital. Well, it's kind of like, I'm just tuning on the TV. How's that happen? Well, okay, if you got 60 IQ, change the channel right now. Okay, if you got 100 IQ, change the channel. You're not going to follow what I'm going to talk about. If you got 120 IQ plus, listen. Okay. Your brain does a lot of stuff. In our particular universe, so far, scientifically, follow the science, the human brain is the most complicated thing in our universe. Okay? Now, you're looking at me. You look at my glasses, you look at my hair, lips, or whatever the hell. You're not looking inside my brain. You're looking at the outside flesh, what's going on here, okay? Glasses on, glasses off. That's all you can tell. In fMRI, that's functional magnetic resonance imaging, you can see inside the brain live while it's happening and see what's going on. Okay? That wasn't used to be done very long ago. It couldn't be done because we didn't have the digital very pumped into the system so everybody could be mind controlled. Seriously? Give you an example. You go to a grocery store and you're walking down the aisle and you're like, well, I want to get Oreos. And then you see these double filled Oreos. Should I get a double filled or should I get that one? So you're standing there thinking about it. Well, they're doing a sales study on marketing. They're going to look at the person's standing there looking. They're going to say, well, they're making decisions. Blah, blah, blah. They're okay. And then when you reach up and take a single filler in the middle of the Oreos and put it in your shopping cart, the salespeople that are monitoring the tons and tons of Oreos that get sold around the world, they're going to go, oh, this one's better, works better, because they don't want the double. They want this one. It's the same cookie, it's just the one's got more sugar in it, That's as far as they can go, because they can only see what you're doing on the outside. They can't tell what the fuck you're thinking about. Okay? Now, fMRI comes in. Now, an MRI, they sit down and take a picture or something. Well, fMRI, a functional one, it's ongoing active. Ongoing active. So they put a little, like a shower cap a bunch of little electrical things that go off, like it's like 21, 22 little electrical things. And then they can see what's going on inside the head, electrically, temperature-wise, a lot of different factors. Whereas before they could never see, they couldn't see what was going on in your head. So they give somebody a package of Oreos. They have the cap on his head and they've got all the information going in the computer, what's going on. You give them the Oreos. Well, the computer shows all the stuff. They're feeling it. They're looking at it. They kind of smell if they can see anything, whatever. And so that's the result. Okay, well, let's say they give the person the same cookie in a package, a little different color, and they find out it just drops off. The activity goes way, way down, and whatever. It's just you want them to pick it up and party with it, but they're not. They're avoiding it. So there's factors in your environment that your brain is processing that can be determined by people that are selling crap. Okay? So when you're sitting on the couch and you're relaxed, it's part of like the induction part, and you're focused because the room is dark and you're staring at a fucking light bulb with colors that coming out with sounds on it, stereo, whatever. They can see what's going on in your brain. So they could put, say they could put an attractive woman in a bikini opening up the Oreos, and the minds of the males that are watching that, the activity is different. And now they want to buy a double cream filled. Okay? So they go, okay, well, we tried it. Before we had a little kid on a bicycle with a glass of milk, and now we got this 21-year-old girl at the lake, canoeing and eating a munchie. And now the people really like it. Ooh, wow. So then they go, well, let's just keep measuring what's going on. So they adjust the positioning of the female that is more provocative. And depending on how they position it, they can see what's going on in the person's brain and what's more powerful. Okay, so they take AI, artificial intelligence, and they take the data banks, all the digital data on you. Okay, so now they take that information and they coordinate that with what you're looking at. So let's say you're Peruvian, enjoys soccer, and you're a fan of Peru, and there's a vibrant red color that Peruvians are attracted to. It's in their national flag also. I'm getting used to it. It's everywhere. My wife, everything's red. So they could sell a package of Oreos with a person with red underwear on, bending over way in the distance, some little teeny thing you're going to focus on. And the mind in the computer that's going to show what's going on in your head is going to go boing. And now you're going to want to buy 2 packages of the double filled. Okay, so the computer's all doing this. See, so for people that really like boats, they could put an ad and have a boat just for you. It doesn't have to be for other people on the block. Everything can be customized because you're talking money. Okay? There's people that like Fords, there's people like Chevys, there's people like Volvos, people like Maseratis, people like VWs, people like Triumphs, or, whatever. Well, their brain is going to focus on positive energy when they see those colors. Forget BMW or, Ford with the F. Just the colors. Okay. So take Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola. When people see Coca-Cola and they put the scalp picker uppers and put stuff in and take out, when people see Coca-Cola, you know what it connects to in their mind? Santa Claus in the sleigh with the snow. You remember the Coca-Cola ads, the Santa Claus drinking a Coke in the snow? Okay, so presently, you're looking at the screen and you're using the most complicated device found so far in our universe. It's right in between your ears. And since the beginning of time, you would look at something and you would experience it. And if you didn't look at it, you wouldn't experience it. But now you can look at artificial stuff like me on the screen and you can experience it. And it can be coordinated with behavior modification, hypnotic induction, using AI and the immense data banks just on you. So that's never happened before. Now it's happening now. Okay. It's happening today. Okay. So you're looking at a digital image right now. I'm using that medium to try to upgrade your awareness of your needs to be cautious about what you're allowing your attention to be hijacked by. It's called mind control, MK Ultra. Now, when I'm talking about the lady walking down the shopping center and picking out cookies or whatever, in this reality in 3D, it's follow the money. Money, honey, follow the money. So they're going to be using neuromarketing that's covert on you to make more money. Okay. So there's something called hypnosis, which you kind of don't know anything about. You think it's this funny stuff you see, people doing funny stuff because somebody tells them to do it. That's stage hypnosis. The hypnosis that's MK Ultra is you've never heard the truth. Everything you've ever been educated with in a formal fashion, integrated in with a big lie. Why? Money. Okay. Now, you've probably got thousands and thousands of hours of interesting stuff on the screen that you've turned on and watched. Has any of it ever told you about covert neuromarketing? How this particular media that you're watching right now can be used by, yes, evil persons combined with AI, databanks, and behavior modification. Behavior modification. Now, what's behavior modification? Well, I'm sitting up straight. Here I'm leaning. Here I'm leaning. Here my arms up. These are all muscles controlling my body. These are all muscles, and the brain's up here. So muscles. That's my muscle. Who's gone? So after you do a behavior for a while, like chopsticks, okay, you don't have to think about it much. Or driving. In the beginning, but now I drove to LA and back. So behavior modification is where old habit patterns get replaced with new habit patterns. Okay. Covertly, by someone else is determining what you're going to do. Let's take something that's pretty common that neuromarketing and behavior modification is indoctrinated just about everybody. Okay, how about this one? I'm born in California, San Jose, California. Grew up San Jose State, blah, blah, blah. So at one point, I'm providing speech and language pathology services in Florida. And this is in the southern part of Florida. Okay, southern part of Florida, down by the Florida Keys, actually. Not at the Florida Keys, but down there. And I do a 6-month contract. I do 3 months, I do another 3 months. And I'm living in my motorhome and commuting back and forth to my condo with my beautiful wife. She's in Tampa. On weekends, I go to Tampa and drive the motorhome. So, I'm Mr. Bell. Nice guy, easy peasy. I don't give people shots on pills or anything. I'm just helping people communicate and eat safely and try to have some quality of life in structured settings that are healthcare. Mostly what would be called subacute care facilities. And some of those would be locked. Part of them would be locked. And then part would be ambulatory or not, but could walk around and stuff, go outside the building even. And I'm friendly with everybody. So after about 5 months, the guy's a maintenance guy. Big cowboy guy. He's got a big Ford truck. Ford, I think it's like some special name for a big farm truck or something, right? It's a big, decent thing with wheels. So he goes, we're going to have a poker game. You want to come to the poker game? I'm like, yeah, cool, poker game. He goes, me, the dietitian, and the cook, and one of the guys from the maintenance team, and some other person, we're going to have a poker game. Like, you want to go? Yeah, okay, well, fine, okay. So I'm a hunter. I like hunting. And the only thing I hunt anymore is pigs, wild boar, and I hunt with a sidearm. It's a legal way to work on courage. So I show up and, it's 11:30 or something, midnight, people, taking shots and whatever, having a good time talking, whatever. And the maintenance guy who invited me, he was my friend, he goes, well, how long have you been gay, Sam? I go, what do you mean? He goes, how long have you been gay? You always been gay? I'm like, I'm not gay, bro. Actually, I'm on my third wife. I'm not gay. I don't hold anything against gay people, but I'm not gay. He goes, no, you can tell me you're gay. I know you're gay. So the other gentleman I know well is the chef, or he orders the food and prepares. He's responsible for it. He said, no, you're gay, Sam. We know you're gay. I'm like, I'm laughing. Like, what are you talking about? So it turns out I'm wearing 501 jeans. 501 jeans. You're gay if you wear 501 jeans. So they all wear Wrangler. You gotta wear Wrangler with a cowboy belt with a buckle to be straight. Talk about mind control. Okay? See the marketing on that one? Where did these concepts come from? What are the maintaining events maintaining those concepts? Now, covert, hidden neuromarketing means that when a large company, say a soft drink company, or an appliance maker, or an automobile manufacturer, they're going to market something rather than using the old studies where they look and see what are they doing and make measurements and try to say what they're doing. They use neuroscience and neuromarketing. Now, when you go to employ the company that's going to do your neuromarketing, some giant neuroscience outfit that's going to help you make a couple more billion this year, you got to sign a non-disclosure agreement that you're not going to tell anybody you're using neuromarketing. You can't tell anybody you're using neuromarketing because that just puts them on, wait a minute. You're right. I noticed that People start to think about stuff. That's the last thing you want. Give you another example. D-Day, World War II, D-Day. Okay, how many of you were at D-Day? Anybody there at D-Day? No, none of you were there at D-Day. They're all dead. Have you heard of D-Day? You heard of D-Day. Were you? No. Did you study? No. Did somebody ask you? No. You know about D-Day, though. They pounded that into your fucking head since you learned anything in school, high school, or college. And today it's still harped on D-Day, D-Day. D-Day, yay, America. D-Day is when the commander of the Allied forces, Eisenhower, took a whole bunch of people and went and invaded Normandy. Okay? And so everybody's, look at D-Day, yeah, D-Day. Did you know that there was another D-Day? There was a D-Day before the D-Day. There was a D-Day before the D-Day. Eisenhower was going to take all these troops and ships and planes and all this crap. It's going to go over and he's going to invade Normandy because the Russians were just getting whacked by the Germans. Okay, and he wanted to help the Russians. Winston Churchill made sure when the first D-Day occurred, all the Nazis knew about it. All the people got wiped out. You never heard about that. We don't tell people about that one. We don't want people to know that the English worked with the Nazis. Remember Iraq? Saddam Hussein. Beheadings used to hang that fucker. Well, who do you think installed Saddam Hussein in Iraq? The British. And the Americans controlled by the British. Who do you think installed Hitler in Berlin? Not the British and the Americans, just the British. Installed Hitler in leadership in Berlin, manipulated that only so he would take out Russia, the Soviet Union. See, England had control of the world, all this blah, blah, blah. Sun never set on English soil, and they got to go everywhere except Soviet Union. They just couldn't. So the way intelligence works is you get the enemy of my enemy to be my best friend. So the British allowed Nazi information to inhibit Eisenhower when it aided the British. And at the same time, they helped the Nazis, just like it's happening now. Nazis are in Ukraine. The Nazis in Ukraine are the same Nazis from World War II. The United States is funding those Nazis in Ukraine right now with British management supervision, mostly American money. Okay. So, mind control is a big deal. And when you get your information from a glass screen with lights that's put together by AI, data banks, behavior modification, and covert hypnosis, mind control, you are so clueless, you're just totally clueless. Well, things are kind of falling apart now. Things are kind of falling apart. Okay? Elevating consciousness is not going to help the evil people. It's only going to help people that have resonances of unconditional love that organically come from their heart chakra. Okay? You're not going to elevate your consciousness by watching a screen. You're not going to elevate your consciousness and increase your tolerance for unconditional love, receiving and giving by looking outward. It's all done inward. There was a very fine gentleman, our Lord Jesus the Christ, who said and taught, go within. He said, you want to communicate with divine creator? Go into a closet. That's what he said, go into a closet. But did you ever hear that? No, you're not going to hear that. They're going to say, what are you going to do? They ain't money. So, everywhere you go, places where there's a lot of money happening, there's covert neuromarketing. And when it becomes political, you got MK Ultra type stuff. Okay. That's all that's going to happen. That's the only way it works. That's the only way it works. So you don't elevate your consciousness and you stay ignorant and you remain glued to some outside stimuli that's telling you what to do, and you don't go in, you're spiritually blind, my friend. It doesn't make you evil. It just means there's no way you're going to learn. There's no way. There's no way. So, in conclusion, your willpower, your ability to focus, your unconditional love are non-physical. Those are the things that support and manage the spark of divine, that little quantum item of divinity that's inside you now. It's inside your heart chakra. Okay? Those items are the reason that you incarnated on this 3D planet. So you had your willpower, your ability to focus, your unconditional love before you incarnated. You had those on the other side. And you use those things, your willpower, ability, focus, unconditional love, to incarnate yourself. Boys and girls, you incarnated yourself. You know why? You're a little spark of the divine. That means everything you experience gets fed back to divinity, specifically Mother God, the female aspect. You know, this female that shows up on the planet, as Kuan Yin in Asia and Madonna in Mexico, and, the Virgin quote, the Virgin Mary. It's not the Virgin Mary, it's Mother God. She never comes down and says, I'm the Virgin Mary. No, she never says that. Who tells you that? It's kind of like mind control. You know what I mean? You ever go to some place and get relaxed? Colored lights, candles, and organ music, and choirs. It's relaxing and quiet, and then you have fixed positions that you hold on your knees, genuflecting, positions. That's hypnosis. That's behavior modification. Behavior modification, it's like, well, if you don't do it, you're going to go to hell. So, no, for those of you who firmly believe in hell and devils and those sorts of things, listen to this, please. Okay, now, you have free will. You have free will right now. You will never do something under hypnosis and violate your free will. You will never violate your free will. When you're under hypnosis, you will not violate your free will. They can't hypnotize you to do something you don't want to do. Okay? Flatline. That's just flat the way it is. Now, if you're hypnotized and somebody suggests to you that Mexicans with tattoos are cannibals, okay? And you're going to go, no, that's the stupidest thing. And you're going to look at the hypnotist and go, don't give me this bullshit. Who the fuck are you? Guess not. They're not. You know that. However, this is the important point. However, you're an adult now, but when you were a child, say you're 5 years old, stuff goes in, it sticks. Okay, it's not like me. I'm 77. Stuff goes dribbles out. Some sticks. You're 5 years old. It sticks. Let's say Grandma and Grandpa are there, and they're staying there for Christmas, and Grandpa goes, "Fucking Mexicans, they eat babies." And Grandma goes, "Yeah, they eat babies. It's terrible." Now, when you're 5, you're like, "Look, Grandma and Grandpa said they eat babies. They eat babies. I know they eat babies." Look, you see one, they see a fat Mexican guy with a tattoo. Oh, he ate a lot of babies. But then, you're like 8, 9. You're going, I don't know, man. There were cannibals, but I don't. Then when you're like 17, you're like, no, they're Mexicans are nice people. Just to get a tattoo doesn't mean they eat fucking babies. What the fuck's the matter with you? Right? However, if at a young age, a seed was planted that later, as you matured, you threw away and forgot, it's still planted in your mind. So then, when a professional hypnotist or a covert hypnotist hypnotizes you and says, "That's a Mexican with a tattoo, and he's hungry. So when he comes in the door, I want you to stab him and protect your children." You go, "Oh." You're hypnotized, right? That hypnotic suggestion, that induction got attached to an early primitive concept, back when you're really structuring your brain. So now it's locked in. And the suggestion would be, after you stab him, you can't remember anything. And the harder you try, the less you can remember. So some poor, the pediatrician who's come to work on your child's foot or whatever, he's a Mexican guy, or he looks Mexican and he's got a tattoo. Maybe he was in the Navy. He could be, French. Who knows what the hell? Or just got a suntan. And someone puts you on a suggestion and says, "Okay, this guy's going to come in here. He's a Mexican with a tattoo. You're supposed to stab him to save your children." The guy will come in with his doggy bag, just take out a knife and stab him. Then you put the knife down and go, "I don't know what happened. What happened? I don't know. I can't remember anything." Sirhan. Guy that shot Kennedy. Same thing. You can't remember any of it. Can't remember a damn thing. JFK's murderer, President Kennedy, same thing. So, impressionable children are put into a hypnotic stage induction repeatedly, showing black people running in the convenience stores and ripping off stuff and getting away with it. Okay? Well, people that don't do that, they're going to be inducted into having certain feelings about that. So then, they could walk in someplace and a black person walks in, they're like, "Oh," they think something's going to happen. Straight behavior modification. Okay? Now, with AI and the data banks, you've got a background that could be accessed by a computer that's a lot smarter than you and could time it out perfectly for you to get suggestions out of the blue. Like, you need to wear this. I'm describing my beautiful bride. You need to wear a raincoat. If you have boots, rubber boots, wear the rubber boots. You have to wear gloves. You have to wear a face mask and a face shield to get on the bus here in Peru. If you didn't have a raincoat or boots, they would still let you on the bus, but people would stay away from you because they were so fucking scared. MK stuff. So the first thing, think about what's going on. Think about what you're doing and go within. Okay, you and all your loved ones are always in my prayers.